Gotta love spring snowstorms. We got about 10 inches of snow overnight, something like that. The driveway was the yard was completely empty of snow, and the driveway was actually starting to dry out, so the driveway is actually very muddy. So I am not going to use the 4066, mostly because I think if I ran the 4066, we got about a ½ inch of rain on top of the driveway, and then after that it started snowing, and it kind of snow sleeted for about 2 hours, and then it snowed. I checked kind of in a couple spots in the driveway, and there's just so much mud, I think I would create more problems. So I'm going to opt for a little bit lighter machine. I mean, the 1445 is 3,000 pounds lighter than the 4066. So this will actually be the first time that I've really moved snow with the 4066 this entire winter. I think I've maybe put 45 minutes on this machine since late September. I got to air up the back tire there. We'll do a cold start because it's been at least 3 weeks since I cranked it up, if not longer. When I did use it this one time, I was using it to create some paths for the dogs, and if you can see, I actually sheared a shear pin, so I need to replace that before I get too much farther. So that's what I'm going to do next. I looked briefly and I thought I had some shear pins around, but I do not, so I'm just going to take a grade 3 bolt and shove in there. That should be perfectly fine for my intents and purposes. Shear bolts are there for a reason. If the grade 3 shears, that's perfectly fine. From what I remember on the specs, most of the shear bolts are grade 5 from what I remember. So, and in fact, I may have some grade 2 bolts that I'll put in there. Easier to replace shear bolts than it is lots of parts. So I'll get the 1445 set up, get some air in the tire, fix the blower here, because you'll see that I'm out of shear pins there on the blower. So, but yeah, we'll actually get a video of the 1445 moving snow this winter. Kind of exciting. So that's where next part of the video, you'll watch me move snow. Idea how this is going to work with all the mud under there, but I think this is about the best way to do it. So we'll see how many shear pins we go through. So this video set out originally to be your plain snow blowing video. You can see right there I actually dug a little bit into the dirt and the mud, certainly created some problems. But where it got really interesting is the fact that the snow was so wet. Anytime you ran over it, you just compacted it into ice. So what we're going to see here in a little bit, and you can see, various parts of the driveway have upwards of 10 to 12 inches of snow on it. There's a drift right there up next to the house. It's probably 2 feet. But as I kind of move forward here, you're going to see where I start to have some problems as I continually run over the snow. I was actually really impressed. I think this is the wettest snow that this blower has blown since I've owned it, in the 2 winters I've owned it, and I was actually very happy with its performance, particularly with how wet the snow was. So I don't think the 2 big snowfalls that we've had this year were not anywhere close to what we had last year. In fact, they were much bigger this year than last year. Last year we got a bunch of small individual snowfalls, except for 1 or 2. So what you're going to see here in a little bit is I get the 1445 stuck. So here coming up, there'll be about 4 minutes of video of me going back and forth on that line of snow in front of the house right here. Just wanted to air up a tire. It was lower than I thought. I could feel it when I was steering, so I just threw that in there, just because it's part of doing the work. But here I'll let it play for the next about 4 minutes. You'll see me blow some more snow, and then I'll come back and give you a brief heads up to what's going on. Bet you thought I was going to get stuck there the time just in the preceding video. Actually, I get stuck here coming up. Generally, you can, when the 1445 is going to get stuck, you'll know it pretty quick. The previous 2 times, I was pretty sure I could get out, but you'll see in the coming segment that there's no getting out of this next part. So, like I mentioned, it was stuck. So here's a picture of the 1445 stuck in the snow. As you can tell, what happened, and I kind of pointed this out on the video, that small plug caused enough snow to go underneath the blower that I lost traction on the front wheels, and you could see I was already lifting up the snow blower and trying to stop so I could back up, but obviously I didn't do it quite quick enough and got it stuck. So what do I do when I get it stuck? The first thing I thought of is I'll get the X748 out of the garage of the house and hook a chain to it and try to get the 1445 out that way. Done that before. The only problem is the snow, because it compacted so well. When I got the X748 out, basically got the chain hooked up to it, and I end up with this picture here. And in this picture, you can see the X748 is hooked up to the 1445. I'll have to apologize for how far away I am. I didn't think to get a closer picture. But what happened is the first time I spun the tires on the X748, created a little ice sheet and a little, basically just tire tracks in the driveway. And I tensioned the chain, and the X basically had no traction with it. It was basically tied to the 1445, and I couldn't get the two broken loose. So I ended up having to go out and get the 4066 anyway. So here's a picture of the 4066. I just took a picture when I got in it to crank it up, and then I used a chain. Actually, I just pushed the X back a little bit with the snow pusher. Didn't hurt it. I only had to push it back about 6 inches to loosen the chain up. The X came right out. Not a big deal there. And then I actually the 4066 actually lost traction getting the 1445 out. Just there was no traction on the ice. So I ended up having to get my wife, and she got in the 1445 to back up the 1445 as I drug it out with the 4066. Nice thing is it was a Saturday. The weather wasn't that bad. Obviously, it was clear and the sun was out. Wasn't too cold, obviously, because of the wet snow. And so, I mean, there really wasn't much stress. It took us both about 2 hours to clear the driveway, which should have taken about 30 minutes. I actually did end up using the 4066 to clear some of the driveway. Also used the X since it was already outside, and the 1445. So I used all three to clear the driveway. Just trying to get the machines out. I didn't get any video of any of that, but I did get these couple pictures and figured I would tell my story. So kind of a comedy of errors that I thought somebody might enjoy. So thank you for watching.